All right. I've got a whole bunch of those in my car. Oh, good. Okay.
It's doing very good. I had
What's that?
yesterday and they pushed me.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit, so it's a little good.
Oh, no, I got it. Yeah, I've got, I don't know how many.
It is, and I'll tell you, the one thing I'll say, the doctor.
You're not feeling well there?
I mean, it's getting better and better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, you did a great job. Awesome. What, do you remember who it was? I was supposed to go to see.
No, I don't know what I think.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. I always love those things when we send them out, just to, help speak for, the guys that, what they need, so I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, let me know who it was. I'll make sure I give them some accolades. You know the address?
Yeah.
Is it Rico's? You said 326?
Yeah, 326.
Before it gets too bad.
I do, I haven't skied much since then. I went skiing once since then. Well, we went through West Virginia now, so. Oh, yeah.
Sir, dog?
The dog, something must have,
Here's how those days that poor guy. Dwayne is awesome. Yeah, no, Dwayne is great. I was there from the inside. He's on the outside. Yeah, so we're, like, we all have the same process. Like, we like to start outside, work inside. If it's raining, we go in and hope to catch a snake. And sometimes we just don't. And that week, last week, man, it was just one of those weeks. It's a good day to be a duck. Yeah, it was a good day for us to do something. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, Dwayne's awesome. He's one of my top guys. Really knowledgeable. He's not like a bubbly personality, you know what I mean? But he does afterwards and so, it was a right to say, it really wasn't that bad. Do you want me to talk to him? Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad he did that, because sometimes, like, you see something on paper, we say something, but we have to write up in decent verbiage, to be clear about it. So sometimes that, for people, that's my first time with you guys, and that's okay. I'm gonna talk to my clients about, I'd like to get that.
Hello, how are you? I'm Michelle Byers.
Hey, Michelle.
Hey, nice to see you. Good, thank you for coming. Good. Wonderful, wonderful. I wasn't sure yesterday if you all were coming. Okay, good. I know. Is that the truth? Since 1981. Yes. Oh, there you go. And I was the co-president, PTA president at Dodge. Yes, when my son was there. He's 39. Yeah, exactly. So I guess, let's see, I moved out here a few years before he was born, so whatever that math is. So, yes. Before that, I was in college, so I couldn't have come any sooner. Knoxville, Tennessee. Oh, what do I did. Well, I've lived in a lot. Normandy, Holly Springs back in 1981.
But I don't like it.
You know,
there's the days where I don't have to get ready. Oh, and I'm trying to hang out with my DJs. In my comfy clothes.
good. Well, go Grace.
Sorry, this is Jocelyn. This is Maria.
Hi, how are you? Very nice to meet you. Great. Well, okay, all right. Well, we've got the East Coast City speaking this morning, and yours is just 5 minutes. Right. Okay. Why don't we do you first? Welcome to your that way you find the city. Yeah, if you don't want to, it's fine. So we'll I'm not talking to you. Anyhow, I just wanted to like okay. All right.
Is it like blank, but I'm real like.
I don't know what all, it was,
I can tell he's just.
What I would have got, I looked it up later, I went and got one, and then I read the review, and that's like, what is it, Calumet, or something like that.
That's a projector, isn't it?
Oh, that was
I'm sorry? You like that real like. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yes, you want the part before I like it. The best part about this is Kentucky. No, I don't. So every chance we got, we were doing bourbon tasting. We did Woodford Reserve. The crazy part about Woodford Reserve is what it like pairs with. Like it pairs with so many different things, but it gives it a different flavor every time it's paired with something like chocolate. It tastes different.
Good morning. Good morning.
I like the sweet. Right. Do you like more of the rye one? Sure. The rye one? You like rye? Yeah, we lived in Fort Knox for 4 years, so we got a lot of okay. Check. Okay. Oh, how funny. Okay. Oh, how funny. I want to try Scottish whiskey, but I haven't brought my Scotch to it. No, but I want to try it.
I saw his recipe on, put it on Facebook.
That sounds really good. Right, exactly. My sister likes bourbon, she likes to just drink it straight, but, I know. A little sweet. Yes, that's what he likes.
Ed, come sit with me.
Right? 114 proof.
Come sit with me, bud. Here is Buffalo Trace. Let's secure out of our way.
Well, I'm.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Good morning, Sarah, Michelle. Hi. Hi, Miss Scott. Good to see you. Hello.
Nice to meet you.
You're originally connected by,
Yes.
Jim and so here I am. You know, so, thank you all for coming.
Oh, we're happy to be
We get a lot of people. And so what I do is, my grandma
That's the, Jesse. Yes, that's Jesse. That's his friend. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. Shannon too. Oh, mine too.
Sure.
No, he's on like my,
Do you want to stay longer? We're happy to
he's
do
like
that.
my number one.
not pushing it.
Yes.
No, I mean, I appreciate you being so considerate, but we're here to
No,
inform
no,
you.
we'll do it.
I can do it.
I
Yeah, I could definitely.
I was trying to step up. Who are you?
So,
Oh, you're very,
Well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Are you all ready to get started? For those in TV land, sorry, we are a little bit late.
No, not that
All right,
one.
everyone,
I've seen the-
put your inside voice on, because we are ready to get going. A second week in a row you get me. Jim is off playing again with his grandchildren, so let's say a prayer that he makes it through this week. He is in Disney World.
Oh, Lord.
So, I know.
Bless its heart.
I know.
The happiest place on earth.
I know. Until you're over 55, then it's a very slow process and very painful. So I'm sure Advil and Tylenol are with him today. But we're happy to be here. We'll all wave to Jim, because I'm sure if I know Jim, he has to check in. So good morning, Jim. If you're not, you can see it later. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And as we always do, let's start with something. Tell us something really good. And it can be something good about you all or something good somebody else did. So I'm gonna open it up. If no one says anything, I'm gonna call on you. So go ahead and jump in. Rusty.
The latest pollen attack appears to be almost over.
Oh, yeah. Yay.
Tell that to my head.
Yeah, I think the rain has helped. And that's why I have kind of a scratchy voice, but that's okay. That means warm weather's coming, so I'm good with that. All right, who else? Or three?
I do.
Hi, I'm Authorine before you tell me. I'm Authorine. So yesterday we had two extremely busy top agents from Florida teach on my group coaching call. Heidi turned her business around, right? Kathy Heidi. She went from 300 in 2020 to 900 in GCI. Purely relational. She doesn't do cold calls. She doesn't do any of that stuff. All relational, all getting into her community. The call was packed yesterday. I would encourage you, if you didn't get a chance to hear that call, it is recorded and Kevin's gonna upload it in a couple of days to Fun Train. Guys, you cannot miss the training that's in this market center. It's not everywhere else. We just assume because we're looking through rose tinted glasses that it's everywhere. It's not. It's not. And Christy, you were on for a minute. What did you think about the call?
It was great. I mean, just simple stuff like she was talking about being on Nextdoor and just being very responsive and being available and weighing in and participating in life and finding what you're passionate about and participating. It wasn't rock star things you couldn't do.
Right, and here's the thing, cause I got a lot of calls afterwards and they're like, well, she doesn't have any systems, and I said, and yet, every morning she gets up, she's really very purposeful about her business. And she leads every day. And then on the other spectrum, we had somebody that you would have just loved. Dan has systems. He's a systems guy. So he was talking to us about systems and all the other stuff. So guys, just lean into the training that's here. Thank you.
Thank you. That is something good. Who else wants to share? All right, remember, I'm gonna call on you, and I could go on TV land, so just jump right in.
Hey, Michelle.
Call on TV land. Well, that's because his mouth has some food in it. No.
All right, Michelle, I'll say something.
Okay, all right, Eric.
I'm Eric Decker, and I'm excited to go back to Bold, step 2 on
Yay, I'll be here too.
3 times Bold.
There you go. Very good. All right, let's pick someone. Well, we can.
She has her hand up, Susan.
Susan, all right. Susan, thank you.
Hey.
Susan Fraley, tell us something good.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, I just wanted to tag on what Autherine was saying. I sat in on her Monday morning script
no,
practice.
The Audible isn't working again.
How can we?
Oh, wait,
You can't hear me?
oh, we can. Thank you.
You can? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to Autherine for her Monday morning scripts practice class. She provides so much help. She makes us think. And then, of course, we went right into that Zoom call, which was really phenomenal. The agents that she picked were 2 different, opposite ends spectrum, agents who shared real world lead generation tips that were just so easy to implement, and how just by being intentional, their business grew. So it was not hard stuff. It was, like I said, easy. And my goal is not to miss anything that Autherine does in the future.
Very good. That's very smart of you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, let's get someone else in TV land. We want to make sure you are engaged in this. If you don't pick, I see somebody I might call on. All right, I'm going to call on Connie Davison. Connie, are you there? Connie, take you off mute. Oh, I wonder, she's probably going to walk the dog or something. Okay, let's pick up.
Oops, Michelle, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I already had you walking the dog. Okay, tell us something good.
Well, sorry, I had stepped away to grab my coffee. You caught me.
Yes, but tell us something good. Anything new with your new home?
So, no, not right now. We're still in planning phases, but that's okay because I hear that lumber prices are coming down, so that will ultimately help us.
Tell everyone about your dream home. Where is it?
We right as the pandemic was shutting everybody down, we bought some property out in Morgan County on Lake Oconee, and we're very excited about it. Yeah, so it's my dream to be out on that lake. Started going out there when it was first built in 1979. And those of you who are maybe not from Georgia don't know that we don't have any natural lakes here. They're all man-made, and Oconee has only been a lake since 1979.
Oh, thank you for that. And our dream is for you to get it built so we can come see you. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank y'all for working on the sound. It is better, but I will say that it would be helpful to have a little more back of the room conversation.
Okay.
When y'all are talking, because and you may have to ask others that are listening in TV land, but because it could just be my computer audio or something, I'm not sure, but it's still kind of faint.
All right, I'll ask everyone when they're speaking today to speak clearly so that they don't miss anything. All right. Okay. Thank you, Connie. Anybody else want to contribute? You're shy. Okay, all right, well, let's go
Hey,
on.
Michelle, this is Teresa Cal. It's not, I just wanted to acknowledge the passing of Trip Anderson. We got the news yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Good news. He was he was my instructor. He was a great instructor and just a very decent guy.
Thank you. He was when I got my broker's license, he was my instructor there too. So I know I was saddened to see that. Yeah, and they'll announce arrangements coming. Nothing's in stone yet. Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. All right. Anybody else? If not, let's do our partners. All right. Come on, Carrie. Carrie Green.
Good morning, everybody. Carrie from Thomas and Brown. We have a class today at 1 o'clock, and if you haven't RSVP'd yet, it's okay. We still have some spots. It's going to be negotiating in the current market. So we're going to talk about different strategies and stipulations and all that good stuff. Cheryl's the instructor. If you guys have not taken a class with her, she's awesome. And the break is sponsored by our friends at Silverton. And then we have another CE class next week on the 19th from 1 to 4. It's actually at the Galleria location in the 200 building. So we're going to do Matters of Madness. So if you missed the last one here, it's the same class. So we talk about any title issues like probate, divorce, bankruptcy. We talk about a lot of title issues that can come up before closing. Like with your sellers, just kind of ways to prepare to avoid those things. It's a really good class. It's fun too. And then we're going to have a happy hour at Cinco after, which is right across the street. So, you know, we got to lure the people in, right, with happy hour and food. Just kidding. Just kidding. And then we have, if you're in the Buckhead area, we have a happy hour there at Southern Gentlemen on the 21st at 5:30. So everybody's welcome to that as well. And just a reminder, our offices, we have one downstairs, we have Woodstock, Galleria, Alpharetta, Blue Ridge, and Buckhead. So thank you guys so much.
Where do I close if I have a closing in
Well, I'm glad you asked, because on our website, we have a locations finder. So you can type in the address or like any landmark that you guys want to close next to, or close to.
Yeah.
And it'll pull up the offices in order of like proximity. So I'm not really sure on Alpharetta, on Lawrenceville, but I'll pull it up. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you, Carrie. All right. I think it's Silverton's turn this week.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, everyone.
Well, I'm Reed Clark. This is
Danielle Delaney.
I didn't forget. I didn't really know. They always say you don't ever let them talk. So good to be here with you guys again. I want to ask you to put in your calendar to mark the date, May 28th. You guys, that is our world famous movie party.
Yes.
And that'll be at Merchants Walk. It'll be on a Saturday morning. We have blocked off the theater. We'll have how many movies, Heather? Do we know yet? 3 movies. There's a little bit of debate about which ones they are or do you know yet?
I do know. So there's still a chance they could possibly be pooled. So that's why we're kind of waiting a little bit closer to time. Downton Abbey, Doctor Strange 2, and Bad Guys. Bad Guys looks super cute. That's our G movie for the kids.
Yeah, trying to have one for the kids. Doctor Strange is kind of where I'll
hang out.
Y'all don't see me, I'll be in there to get my brain twisted. But anyway, so the deal with this, guys, is, we can give you something to market to your clients. One of the biggest things that most people run into is, I'd like to call my clients, but I don't want to be just calling with my hand out for a referral. But if you can call them and you're offering something and you can invite them to the movie party, they can bring their kids, all that sort of thing. I mean, you really can get more than one touch. You can get the initial touch, you can get another touch right before the event, and then you can follow up, because we'll tell you who came and we'll give you the list, and then you can follow back with them. Hey, I saw you went to the movie party. How was it? Blah, blah, blah. So all that, well, not blah, blah, blah. It's important.
Actually write that.
It's actually. What if you just forgot? You were typing in blah, blah, blah and sent it out. So anyway, May 28th, 9:30 a.m. at Merchants Walk. One other thing we want to tell you about is a loan program that we mentioned last time. So this is our Wealth Builder program. This is 100% financing. Now don't freak out. This isn't like the 100% financing that we did back in 05, 06, 07. That was nuts. This actually is for a very particular type of client. So do you want to, and there's some info about it.
Yeah, we've got some info. We're gonna print this flyer and have it outside our office if you wanna pick it up at any point in time. Reed and I compared $800,000 loan with this program versus a 10% jumbo. And there were a lot of really great benefits if you guys wanna talk to us about it. Some things that stand out. What stands out to you?
So guys, think about what she just said. 100% finance on an $800,000 purchase. So that's what we're talking about. And you can go up to $975,000. Now, this is for the client. And the reason I look at this is there are people who have cash who don't want to use it as a down payment on the house. They want to keep their powder dry. They want something else. Maybe they've got tons of cash flow. They're not worried about the house payment. They're really worried about keeping their capital. This is what it will be for. Now, this loan is an adjustable. It's a 5, 7, or 10-year ARM. It's only 20 or 15-year amortization. That's the key. And that's why it's called Wealth Builder, because they're going to build equity in this house a lot faster. At the end of, even though it's 100% financing, at the end of 5 years, they'll owe the same amount as if they'd done 10% down on a 30-year fixed loan. At the end of 10 years, they will actually owe $87,000 less than they would had they done the 30-year fixed, the 10% down. The interest rate on this loan, the one we priced out yesterday, was 4.875%, and the PMI is actually financed into the loan. So you could buy an $800,000 house and come to the table with, do you remember the number? This
$14,000.
$14,700. That's nuts.
Wow. Yeah.
So think about this. If you have a client who's got great cash flow, but they're not wanting to make a big down payment, let's talk to them. It's not the option for everybody, but it definitely is a good fit for some. Okay?
Right.
Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, is there a cap on the interest on the ARM?
Yes. Every adjustable will have a cap. Don't ask me the next question you're fixing to ask. Stop. You only got one question, ma'am. I'm sorry. It's most ARMs have a 5% or a 6% lifetime cap. So there's three caps on an ARM. There's the initial adjustment cap, there's the subsequent adjustment cap, and there's the lifetime adjustment cap. ARMs have a base rate, they have a margin, and an index. The index is that new SOFR, which you guys probably never heard of, but it took the place of LIBOR, which was the London Interbank Offering Rate. This is SOFR, I don't remember what the S is, but that's the index. And so when it adjusts, it goes to a certain margin above whatever that index is at that time. So that's how, that's a quick explanation of how adjustables work. So.
Are you confused now?
Yeah.
Yes, Reed.
Yes, ma'am.
So you know, I'm Scripps. So for all of us in here, how do we get our clients to call you? What's the conversation I'm having when I pick up the phone and go, oh my God, there's this new 100% no money down. What is the script? Make it short.
So now, is this somebody that you're already engaged with, that's
Yes,
already talked to
yes.
another lender? Because if they haven't been pre-approved, that's
They're
pretty evident.
pre-approved, they're pre-approved.
Okay. What I would suggest
Yes.
is, I'm sure they're a great lender. I think we found a lot more success in getting offers accepted in the market now when it's a local lender that many realtors know. They're gonna be more comfortable rather than one of the big national lenders.
Got that?
Okay.
It's the program.
Okay.
That I want to
On
talk
this
about.
program, well, you're gonna have to have in your pre-listing, in your consultation with a buyer, you're gonna have to fill them out, because this isn't for everybody.
I know.
So you could
I'm
ask
there.
them, what are the things, when you buy a house, what are some of the things that concern you the most? Well, I don't wanna use all my money. I don't wanna empty out my savings account for the down payment. That would be a trigger for this. Something like that. That would probably be the biggest one to me. Is if somebody says, I don't wanna empty out my bank account. You know, I've heard recessions coming. I don't wanna empty out my bank account making a big down payment on the house. That would be a trigger to say, well, you know what? I got a guy you need to talk to, or a girl. If it was me, I'd talk to her.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that help? A little bit? Not much?
Good talk.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Okay, Amerispec, come on up. Our wonderful spot. Thank you for such a great breakfast.
Thank you, thank you. It was the last minute, so we kind of got everything together for you guys, and I guess somebody canceled, but it's always an honor and a privilege to be here in front of you guys. I love every single one of you. I think I've worked with most of y'all here, and I appreciate that. And I had a guy try us out, and he loved Dwayne, right? Dwayne's one of my top guys, so I have full confidence in all 20 of my inspectors that still got there representing you. But this time of the year, it's all about pollen and air quality and what it is. I think it rained all week last week, right? I was on spring break chasing kids around, so I missed a lot of that. But rain, pollen, mold, it's a 4-letter dirty word for everybody, right? So this time of the year is kind of a maintenance season, right? So obviously clean out your HVAC units, whatever, change your filters, do those things. But check your grading. I was talking to Reed earlier about that. Clean your gutters, right? You've had all the debris, things like that. Things are going to overflow. If you're marketing a house or you're listing a house, do these things, right? Because right now we're probably going to do inspections in the rain, right? And if they're overflowing, bad things can happen. You get water in the house because the house is perfect until you list it, right? And then weird things happen, like homeowners drive through garage doors, just water heater goes out, leaks, whatever happens. Okay. But do those things, right? Make sure the gutters are clean, presentable, and check out the air quality of the house, right? Because if you walk into a basement, and some of you have been to my CE classes, and some of you haven't. I'd like to teach one here again. It's been a little while. But remember, when you walk into a basement and you smell something, if it's moldy or pungent or whatever that is, your nose knows, theirs doesn't. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Right? You get desensitized to smells. Anybody went to a cat house lately? 35 cats in there, right?
Cat house?
It's been a while, preacher.
Yeah,
right?
something different.
Or a smoker's house, right? You smell these things, they don't.
Right.
You're moving in the back, right? But you smell them, they don't. But after you've been there for a little while, you get desensitized to it, right? So you walk out, you come back in, and you smell those things over again. Keep those things in mind because we're going to be coming out there. We're doing a full inspection. We're actually certified inspectors. We have a high standard of what we do when we're in that house and how we inspect, right? Because we want to represent your clients. Because at the end of the day, right? My favorite saying. She rolls her eyes, but I say that a lot for whatever reason. We're here to service that client. That house is somebody's castle. These people are paying big for these houses. It's an emotional investment. It's an emotional business that we're in, and it's an honor and privilege to service those clients. So whatever we do, we want to make sure we're taking care of our clients. We're taking care of you guys, and we want to represent y'all in the most professional manner and protect them at the same time. Okay, so we appreciate all that you allow us to serve and do. I look forward to seeing y'all out in the field or representing y'all. If there's ever anything I can do to help, call me. I got a call from an agent, from a Rawls Group agent yesterday, and I think I talked to her for like 30 minutes on the way home, right? But she had questions. She had sold a house. There was a conflict, and we didn't even do the inspection. I wasn't involved, but she was asking for advice. Okay, and we're here to help. So if you have questions about a report, there's a lot of reports out there that are not as nice as ours or as easy to read as ours, right? If you don't know what they're saying or needing, that's what we're here for because we're on the same team. We want y'all to accomplish y'all's goals because y'all's goals help us accomplish ours. We're a team, right? So if you ever have any questions about an inspection that we didn't do or we did or whatever it is, please reach out to us and let us help you. I'll be more than glad to help any way I can. I don't want to take too much time because I know y'all got a big thing coming here. So go East Cobb, right? So, but anyway, thank you guys. Catherine, you want to say anything before I get out of here? I suffer from the same thing Reed does. I get it.
You just have such a great performance. I love watching it every time. It's fantastic. No, but just to reiterate what he said, they're a great group of guys. What do we have, like 20 something years now?
20 something now.
And they've been doing it a long time. And even if you haven't used them before, give us a try and see what you think. If you have questions, you can always reach out. You know, you gotta make your village the strongest you can, and I know how important it is for, you know, an inspection, even if it's a right to request repairs, still get that inspection done.
Hey, Donnie, I'll ask you a
Yeah, we
question.
do, don't we?
So as we're all pressed for, you know, little to no due diligence these days, and sometimes, you know, we're going under contract, let's say Saturday night or Sunday, can we schedule an inspection, let's say weekends, or a deal that we're not even under contract yet?
Yeah. So we have 6 girls, 5 girls in the office that are scheduling Monday through Friday, Saturday. Then we also have office staff that work on call. So they work evenings, they work the weekend. So you may have to leave a voicemail if it's Saturday at 7. After church on Sunday, they're gonna call you back and schedule, right? More than likely, they'll get it that night, put a hold on the schedule somewhere for you, and then call you Sunday afternoon, right? If that's the case. Same thing for Saturday afternoon. So, but we're always on call, guys. If you're working, we're working, right? And if you need it, if it's that much of an emergency, y'all call my cell phone directly. I'll make sure we get it taken care of. Because no due diligence, 2-day due diligence. The best thing that we have for you guys is y'all should never worry about the inspection. Y'all worry about winning that deal, I'll take care of the inspection. Always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are going to we've got a special guest, Jocelyn. I'm gonna let Liz introduce her.
Hey, this is Mrs. Jocelyn Cooper. She's with Sapria. The culture committee has asked her to come and give a quick talk about their organization, because we're starting a drive to collect journals for their organization. So she's going to tell you what that's all about. And I was fortunate enough to get to know the organization when I helped them find a space for their Georgia retreat. So that's the connection. So she's here to talk to us.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm Jocelyn, and I work for Sapria. My title is a regional outreach coordinator, but like many nonprofit organizations, that means I do a lot of different things. So I'm so grateful to you all for partnering with us as we move forward in our efforts. So you know a little bit more about Sapria. We're an organization that provides healing resources and tools for survivors of childhood sexual abuse. So those survivors are adults for our healing side. So as Liz was referencing the great location in Dawsonville that she helped us find, we have 2 physical retreat locations where women go in small groups of 8 to unite and bond and take psychoeducational classes towards their healing. So they normally attend Monday through Thursday. A part of their great welcome package that sits on their bed when they arrive at the retreat is a blanket, a note card that's always written by a member of the community, as well as a journal. So the journals are utilized as an avenue for them to just express themselves freely and creatively as they move forward. So in addition to the healing tools and resources that we offer at retreat, we have support groups for adult female survivors in the community, and we also offer prevention and education classes. So often I'm the one to teach that, and I work with adults to teach classes on how to talk to your children, grandchildren, any child that you love about consent, healthy sexuality, and just top 5 tools that parents can use to reduce the risk of childhood sexual abuse. I always tell people that, you know, did you know that 1 in 5 children will experience sexual abuse before they turn 18? It's really scary to think about when you do. The statistics show, for example, like 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls. But I always love to share with individuals that I'm a survivor and I'm not counted in the 1 in 4 because my family didn't report. And the truth is, there's more of me than there are that are counted in the statistics. Statistics, people always say, the epidemiologist in me says, like, the numbers don't lie. You all work with money, you know the numbers don't lie. But the numbers never tell the whole story. So it's something to keep in mind as you move forward. Everyone in this room very likely knows a survivor, is connected to one, whether you realize it or not. So I really just encourage you to place yourself in a position where you look at things differently, recognizing that, you know, stranger danger is absolutely a myth. And the truth is that, you know, 90% of the children that experience childhood sexual abuse know they're abused. It's a family member, a loved one, or someone that they're connected to. It's not a stranger. And so this is something that truly is an epidemic. It impacts our entire world. And so it's going to take us uniting together in education. But it's not just about the prevention component. It really is about healing. Our motto for our organization is heal the one, protect the many, because we believe that if you heal one survivor, it protects future generations. And so we are so grateful for your partnership in moving forward with that. April is nationally recognized as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, as well as Child Abuse Prevention Month. So considering what we do, we're busy. You know, we're busy this month, much like you all. And so, yeah, Liz has my contact information. If any of you all want to contact me, you might be connected to a civic group, your church, any social clubs, sororities, fraternities. We do presentations with all of those organizations just to get the word out from a place of education and awareness. So we're definitely grateful for your partnership. I'm always available for any questions. I'm normally on the road like this. Our office is in Alpharetta, but you can always email me or text me and I'll get back to you. But thank you so much for having me today. Again, grateful for your partnership. Looking forward to seeing those journals coming in, but anything else you'd like to do with us, I'm open to that as well.
Yeah. Is there a type of journal that you're looking for? Any that you don't want to see? What do you want us to bring in?
You're hired. So thank you. No. Thank you. That's a very important question. So what we absolutely ask individuals to do, it's two different ways you can do this. On the flyer that you have here, and that Liz will send to you all, it has a QR code that leads directly to our Amazon wish list. And that Amazon wish list, you can secure journals from there. However, those journals are somewhere between $10 and $15. And sometimes people are like, I can go to TJ Maxx, Ross, Marshalls and get more bang for my buck as it relates to these journals. So they'll go there. The only thing that we ask is there's no religious affiliation with our organization, because sometimes sexual abuse has taken place at the hands of a religious leader. And so we just are an organization that wants to be able to serve everyone. So we just ask that you avoid anything that has a scripture on it or anything specifically faith-based, and keep the inspirational messaging generic on the journal. So it's things like, you got this, be brave, you're phenomenal, take the world on. Those types of things are really what we prefer. If we do get faith-based journals, we don't throw them away. We just donate them to our partners like Must Ministries or things of that nature.
Yes. And where do we bring these?
We're gonna have a drop off here.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
and you can bring them to the office.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a QR code, and your website doesn't have a place.
Oh, it's not on that, on the flyer that.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
in the
sorry. It's
circulation.
this one right here.
Yeah,
Liz
and
will
it'll
make
link.
sure she gets
Yeah,
it to you all.
Kimberly's got it, we're gonna get it out,
Yeah.
so you don't have to short.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about chasing me down, thank goodness. You all will have a drive here. Liz is the point of contact for that. And so you all can absolutely just get your journals. She'll contact me and I'll come pick them up, so you don't have to worry about chasing me.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Have a great meeting.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. All right, let's go ahead and bring up, we've got a group of individuals that are going to talk about the city of East Cobb. I know a lot of us have had questions. So hopefully you can answer these, and come on up, Sarah.
Awesome. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you guys? I have to make a special shout out to Cindy Contrusi. I was working out with her this morning and I was like, I have to run early. I have a meeting. And we had no idea we'd be in the same meeting. So anyhow, kind of funny. So my name is Sarah Hawes. I have with me Craig Chapin and Scott Sweeney and Scott Hausman, who are all members of the Committee for the Cityhood of East Cobb. I've been in the East Cobb community for close to 15 years and was motivated to become a part of this committee because, and I moved here for the schools, probably like many of you and many of your clients, and really am eager to maintain what we have here, this sense of community, this village that one of your alliance partners referenced. And do you want to add anything else about yourself?
Yeah, so Craig Chapin, moved here when Park here was an airstrip, right at Kroger in Johnson Ferry. Been here 49, almost 50 years. I'm an Eastside Dodge and Walton guy. All of us are all volunteers. The entire committee that helped push this through the legislation this time was all volunteers, not paid people. Like, so what you may read online, all sorts of interesting untruths. But I was not involved the first time city had started in 2018. It felt like with very disappointed because I felt like there were some attributes of East Cobb that made it kind of special. I wanted to see that. Home values in schools being one of them. We'll hit schools straight off the bat. Schools, Cobb County Schools has nothing to do with Cobb County. Board of Commissioners has nothing to do with the city if it was formed. Cobb County Schools is its own entity. And Scott used to serve on the Cobb County School Board. He could talk to you afterwards about that just at the time this morning. But the homestead exemption is one of the big questions we get. And the great news is the county, the opposition, and us all agree that that's not at risk, that cannot go away. So if you get that question, I think that's gonna be one of the most important elements that's just not impacted. And once again, be happy to talk about afterwards and why that is, so.
So, generally this presentation can get pretty laborious. I would really love to focus on the Q&A, so I'm gonna touch on some of the main points and then open it up to you all. So, is everybody somewhat familiar with the boundaries of the proposed city? Yes, no, no, okay. So the proposed city of East Cobb starts, the southern border is the Chattahoochee River. The southern border is the Chattahoochee River, then you come up along the Cobb-Fulton border on the east side. The top is Shallowford Road. And then down along the west side, this is Davis Road, there's a creek, you come down along Hembry, you have Murdoch, and Old Canton, and then here's Lower Roswell, the Shadow Long, and the Sip Creek. So this is created based on a couple of things, based on feedback from the first round of cityhood. The population is about 60,000, it's about 25 square miles. So they wanted to lessen the footprint from feedback from the first round of cityhood. I'm referring to Matt Dollar and the other people on the committee. Seeing as the heart of East Cobb is Roswell Road 120 and Johnson Ferry, that being the center point, they did the main corridor being Johnson Ferry starting at the southernmost point down at the river and then going all the way up to where it dead ends into Shallowford Road and then going approximately equidistant east and west. Obviously east, the farthest you can go is the Cobb border and then equidistant west. The funny lines, that's because of what's called a census block. That's a federally developed, their blocks, and that's nothing that the state or local government has any say in, and the reapportionment office who creates maps has to create maps based off of the federal census blocks. So that's why some of these lines look kind of funny or like you carved something out. That's completely federally based on the federal government. This map covers portions of Walton, Wheeler, and Hope, none of the school districts in their entirety. Like Craig mentioned, the schools or school attendance zones is a completely separate map from what you see here.
And it would make sense that the school maps, the voting maps, and city maps lined up, but they don't. In our discussion with the enforcement office, they don't anywhere. You just can't do it. So it's
not possible. So what motivates cityhood? Local control, local representation, local zoning, which I think speaks to all of us quite loudly, and local services. We believe that these are the things that offer the greatest quality of life here, and we would love to have local control as well. So our current Cobb Commission structure, we have.
If I could real quick, maybe,
yeah,
on the local control thing, there's really four, when you stand up, it's called standing up a city when you start a city. When you stand up a city, you really have to take a minimum of 3 services. So the services that we propose, and we have this later in the deck, I don't think we'll get to that timeline, but the services we proposed are zoning, code enforcement, parks and recreation, and then public safety, which is police, fire, EMS, and E911. And the reason that those services were preferred is after the committee kind of evaluated what they were taking last time, talked to a bunch of folks within the area. There was a whole slew of town halls in 2018 and 19. And those are really the ones that are services that are most impactful. The rest of the county services, there's a total of 17 services that we received from Cobb. We're still in Cobb, still proud to be part of Cobb. But those rest of those 17 services will still be part of Cobb County. So if you're just wondering, it's just those services, and we'll talk a little bit about why. But the bottom line is today within Cobb, you vote for 2 of 5 people that represent you. They represent 385 square miles, 785,000 people. And so there's Dick Yarbrough did a piece in the MPJ probably a month and a half ago and said, that people are like, why are there 4 cityhood initiatives going on in Cobb County right now? And Dick's, summation was the problem with Cobb County's size, girth, and growth. If we were a state, we'd be the 47th or 48th largest state just as a county. He's like, the problem of not having good representation should have been solved 20 years ago. And that's why you've kind of seen this groundswell now of these initiatives.
Yeah, thank you. So what Craig referenced, our current COG commission, you vote for 2 of the 5 representatives. Those representatives make all of the decisions that affect you locally with regards to zoning, code enforcement, public safety. Only one of them lives in the East Cobb area. The rest of them live elsewhere in Cobb. So the likelihood of them understanding exactly what the needs and what the factors that are really important to the local community here in East Cobb, probably not as in tune as somebody who lives here locally, and that would represent us. So what the cityhood structure is proposing is to have 6 local representatives and 1 mayor. All of these representatives would have to live in the proposed city of East Cobb. The way it would be broken up as far as in order to maintain accountability and to have representation across the entire city is you would have 2 representatives would have to reside in each district. So 2 representatives from one district, 2 representatives from another district, and 2 representatives from this 3rd district. They would all be elected citywide, including the mayor. The mayor could live in any one of the 3 districts. This brings the proportion of representative to residents to about 1 in 10,000, which is drastically different. These are the people that you probably are going to be selling homes to or helping them buy a home, that you're going to see in your grocery store, at your local place of worship, at the sports field. So these are the people that are tangible, they're here, they understand when you talk about the potholes, the drainage issues, the public safety, whatever it is, they can empathize because they're here in the community with you.
Any questions on services, kind of the why or the kind of the structure? Not everybody wants that.
I wanted to know, is the plan to kind of mimic or be similar to what the city of Sandy Springs did and create kind of like the arts and stuff around that?
That's a great question. So let me point out, and I do not like this term, but this mayor is what we call a weak mayor. So and Sandy Springs has a strong mayor. So the difference is this mayor position is here to break ties. This mayor, unlike Sandy Springs, which is a strong mayor comes in and they have a vision, they can veto everything. They decide, I want a city center, this is my grand vision, and they can just kind of wipe all the other plans to the side and say, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, structurally, with the strong mayor, the city manager, so what happens, you hire a city manager, runs the city, and all employees report to the city manager. The city manager reports in Sandy Springs to the mayor, right? In this instance, they report to all council. So the mayor is still, the council responsible for the agenda and making sure that they're setting the cadence, and that they have a voice equal, but at the same time, Sandy Springs had a strong mayor that had a vision for that. I would tell you, our committee, to answer your question directly, doesn't think that probably fits East Cobb. We don't have the census block, and we're completely low density fans. There's not a lot of green spaces, you guys know very well. We build new stuff, it's gonna be about redevelopment. And so, from that perspective, the schools are full, the roads are packed, we don't have a major artery to get in and out of East Cobb. What do you do if you just keep stuffing people into the same box? And so, we share a vision. The people that would determine that would be the elected officials. So May 24th vote, elected officials would run on a platform of, I want a city center, I want, multifamily housing everywhere, I don't want multifamily houses, I don't want a city center, and those is who would be elected to make those decisions. Did that answer that clear enough?
And can I add one more thing real quick? So I think it's important to note that by having local members representing our area, we then would have a seat at the table with developers who are coming in to redevelop East Cobb and say, this is what our community wants. If we're redeveloping, for example, Merchants Walk, there's so much space there. What does the community want to see that? Do we want restaurants? Do we want more retail? What do we want? So having a seat at the table, currently with the COG Commission, the way it's structured, we do not have a seat at the table with developers. It is just, yes, more money, they can bring us more tax digest or let's raise it up or whatever their motive is. But with local representation, they're answering to you and you see them, you have that accountability.
How many of you are familiar with Pont City Market? Pont City Market is owned and operated by Jamestown, and Jamestown purchased the Park Air Shopping Center and then the area behind it where the trampoline park is now, the Goodwill and all that. And they approached Commissioner Ott quite some time ago about putting multifamily housing back in that area, and Commissioner Ott said, no, thank you. Now you have a commission that is actually favoring multifamily development. So these are the types of things, so this community would have a say in that, because right now you only have one representative that you elect for this particular area. And you are looking at a commission that leans currently in favor of multifamily development. Commissioner Ott was opposed to that.
You kind of touched on what my question is, but what is the reasoning that what do you feel we are not getting representation of in our current organization with Cobb County? Because I remember 40 years ago, downtown Marietta was where you shopped, that was where the retail, and since I've grown up, everything has grown east, but there's not much land left, so we can't really do a whole lot more. But why not just go and talk to your council people in Marietta to say, here's what we want. We don't want high density in a Walton school district.
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you think about the 385 square miles that currently make a Cobb versus 25 square miles of proposed city, like there's a city movement of Lost Mountain, right? They want to protect their farmland, they want to protect the open space, they want to do that. There's a city of Mableton that's pushing right now to have a vote in November for city limits. They want.
They gave up their city charter, but they want it back. You're right.
That's right. But their whole deal is we want way more density. So, you know, when you have such a big area, different areas have different needs and different wants.
So
And the structure, as it's set up today, is there's no accountability. No one area, you only have one person, you know, to Scott's point, you only have one person that you actually vote on in total. We vote for the commissioner, but we vote for 1/12 of the commission, which is statistically. So when you have a commission that's propensity is lots of increased density, lots of increased growth within the areas that have the largest tax digest, and have a vision for that, and they've been very vocal about that. That's not something you have to guess at. And they have a 2040 plan. Commissioner Cooper came out last week saying that they need to have affordable housing in every community. You watch that video. That was literally last week. And so there's just a different vision from the current board of commissioners. We saw stuff like the flyover zone at Dobbins Air Force Base, excuse me, called Big Kerfluffle, I guess 2.5 months ago now. That was approved by the commission over the zoning board's recommendation and against the government's, because that's a no-fly zone for Dobbins Air Force Base. And Senator Warnock fortunately got involved, came in and met with the board of commissioners, because they're like, we're not gonna revisit it, we approved it anyway. So there's a lot of things that are going on from a different vision. If you want a lot of new density, that's where the current board's headed, and they've been vocal about that. That's not suppositional.
Our local representative, Jerica, actually visited the neighborhood when she first got into office, a local neighborhood here, and said, I see your neighborhood as an opportunity zone. I consider it an opportunity zone. I'd love for the government to buy some of these lots and subdivide them so that we can make more affordable housing here in East Cobb. And, you know, I mean, members of the neighborhood were raising, how do we opt out? Like I didn't pay for, you know, $500,000 of dirt to build my dream home next to a lot where it's subdivided. So we read the tea leaves. You can see what's coming down, you know, having Jamestown purchase Park Air. It's a matter of reading the tea leaves. So it's not if this is gonna happen, it's when it's gonna happen. And we feel very strongly that the best way to approach this is with cityhood, as well as addressing some of the things that are the highest quality.
I want to bring up one other point too, and you talked about services, and I'll focus on police services. Right now, we had gone down to the precinct 4 over here on Lower Roswell Road, had discussions with the officer in charge there. And currently there are 45 police officers and 4 detectives, so a total of 49 people responsible for 77 square miles. 77 square miles of East Cobb, that's all of precinct 4. The feasibility study that was conducted by Georgia State University, this is an independent study, we have no influence on this whatsoever, said with the funds that we can expect, that we can fund up to 71 officers. 71 officers would be patrolling 25 square miles. So think about that, 49 to 77 versus 71 to 25. So the coverage, which is feasible, is much better services. And currently what we have in Cobb County is point-to-point services. And so what happens if somebody calls up, they're taking an officer, excuse me, from one location and directing them to immediately the next location, and then the next location, and then the next location. Versus community policing, where you have a much broader presence of police officers to help protect the safety of the community.
I have probably an ignorant question. I'm new, but I just don't understand. So You're against affordable housing?
No.
Okay.
I would say we're against increased density,
Okay.
right? There's gonna be redevelopment,
Yes,
right?
that
I mean, the
probably-
folks that own
that makes-
Avalon bought, the Avenues, right? The Avenues actually has some pretty good land restrictions when COP approved that, Board of Commissioners. So, because, it used to be a house, then became a driving range, and now it's the Avenues. But basically, when you step back and you say, what are we gonna do with the area? We just believe that people that live in the community and elected officials that you vote on all 7 of instead of 1 of, or 2 of the 5, in Cobb County's example, are the best ones to represent you because they live in the community, they're accountable in the community, and they're elected by people that live solely in the community. You don't get that today in Cobb. You vote for 2 of 5, right? And so by having people that you vote on, as you start looking at what does redevelopment happen, I mean, a developer has a right to buy Kroger. They have a right to tear the thing down and build something back. The question is, what do you build there and who determines that? And we're fans of thinking the people that live in the community are the ones who should elect officials to make those decisions.
So back to my example, I guess where I was, to bring it full circle, to his point, I would like for local representatives who live in the neighborhood or live in that community to make that decision. If they want to subdivide the lots, then more power to them. But I don't think it's appropriate for 4 people who don't live anywhere near this community to be making that decision on behalf of the community, because that may not be in keeping with what the community wants. Maybe it is what the community wants, but let the community decide that. Let the community have their voices heard and make that decision for themselves versus having somebody who doesn't live here and doesn't know what the community wants.
And I do want to address affordable housing straight up. I mean, like, I personally feel like it is, choose my words very carefully here. I feel like it is wrong for a community to expect people to come serve us that can't afford to live here, right? And that's a much bigger issue than city life, right? But as we talk to cities, some of the things like police, fire, nursing things they've done, some cities have offered stipends from the city for the people that work within the city to be able to live in the community. So they offer them literally, I think of Sandy Springs was $500 a month if you agree to live within Sandy Springs if you work there. And so I do think there's some things that cities can afford to do on a smaller scale and smaller budget. The gentleman that heads up all of police, as an example, for all of Cobb County, he does exactly what I would do if I had his job. He looks at 385 square miles, so how many officers showed up today. He looks at where my hot zones, where do I have to send people. That's his job, and he should be doing that. But we've had 10 cities that have been formed in the metro area in the last decade. So you have Johns Creek, you've got Brookhaven, you've got Sandy Springs, you've got Peachtree Corners, you've got Stonecrest. And so when you go talk to those folks as we have, those cities have been able to develop a sense of community. They've been able to provide services more effectively because they're in a smaller area. It's a bit easier to manage because economies of scale isn't always applicable as you get bigger and have that many more folks. And so people that have lived there, they've seen housing values go up. They've not seen an increase in taxes, which is one of the things we'll talk about. Despite every yellow sign you read out there that says no new taxes, we're like, we agree, that's what you should form the city. The Cobb County managers asked 3 weeks ago to hire 785 or 786 new employees at a cost of $186 million. That's on top of the $1.1 billion budget, plus the 3% they asked as an increase for that. So, I mean, it's just the vision for Cobb and what they want to do is it's different than it historically has been. And that's fine for some of those services. The question is, which ones are most important to us locally? And there's a survey that came out, because we originally, so in 2018-19, police and fire was in the first pitch. We came back this time and said, okay, let's not include police and fire, it's a little bit of an easier structure to do. And I mean, we heard hands down from everybody in favor of cityhood, like, why don't we have police and fire? Like, safety, and let's be honest, fire's not the issue. Fire in Cobb County is fantastic. We'll be able to, as a city, offer fantastic fire, as the other 10 cities have. Fire's not the issue. The issue is really about how do you make sure you have great policing, and what does that look like? And you do that because you get to own it, and then you determine what the standards are, if that makes sense. And it's not new taxes. It's literally a tax neutral. We have a $3 million surplus on a feasibility study, and we think that's even conservative. And so there's a lot of reasons why it makes sense.
So the concerns we're hearing from the community, taxes going up, the feasibility study, have you heard of this? It's a document, or it's a study that is legislatively required in order to determine if the area that's unincorporated and wants to become a municipality is financially feasible. And so there are 4 institutions in Georgia that are approved. We had Georgia State University conduct our feasibility study, and it came back that we were extremely healthy, financially feasible, and it actually did not even include all of the revenue that we would be receiving. That's a lot of other getting into the weeds. That fire and police services will diminish. That is not true. I can't even begin to explain. I'm just going to be very transparent. The anger that I've heard, there's some individuals who've gone in the community and gone around saying you won't have fire coverage anymore. Why would I ever not want fire or police coverage for my family and my neighbors? That is extremely important. I would never be an advocate for something that would diminish my public services nor my neighbors. Like, I love my community. That's why I'm doing this. So it's a little bit of an oxymoron. I just want to make sure it's abundantly clear. There's no diminished services. And then I do not want to see an increased density. I would love to maintain, and I think I can speak for the committee, love to maintain the essence that East Cobb is. This just super intimate, loving our schools, loving our community, and being very involved.
Yeah, so normally I think we find these about an hour and a half discussion. We do this in one of the neighborhoods, so we'll be very sensitive to time today. We have literally been trying to blitz through kind of the high level talking points we think maybe most salient. So y'all please jump in if you have any questions, because I'll be sensitive when we need to wrap up. Yes. But you'll hear this, like literally there was an ad. I was at Johnny's Pizza, and one of the East Cobb anti-city folks owns the company that puts the ads up in local. It's a screen. They just show local ads. And it's like, you're going to lose your fire services. Yeah, you're right. We're going to get rid of fire trucks, and we're not going to have fire services so we can save money. I mean, like really? I mean, like, but anyway, that's the type of stuff that we're trying to counter. And the question is, how do you determine what the truth is, right? How do you determine what are the numbers? And so, to put in perspective up here, we have a slide here. But bottom line is, our entire budget for the feasibility study is 2.86%. Yeah. So if the city of East Cobb, per the feasibility study, we're 2.86% of Cobb County's fiscal budget, right? And we take all the expenses with that revenue. And so the surplus is about $3 million per the feasibility study. That really means that we're going to keep $3 million more than the expenses from Cobb County's current budget. So that means if you want to say, well, how are we shorting Cobb County? We would keep $3 million of $1.1 billion. I mean, it's so diminutive, it's a joke. And so, people are blowing out, oh, it's all this new taxes, and it's all this new stuff, and you have to do all this stuff. And when you look at it pictorially, it just shows you just not true.
In addition to that surplus that he talked about, it's also the feasibility study factored in a contingency for $1.8 million.
So if you go back up a slide, what really is happening here, by the way, sorry. So this is the millage rate. So a lot of people are like, oh, they can start all these new business taxes and they're going to pull people over and give them all these tickets. But let's just be honest, there's no money in that. I mean, if you go look at Cobb County's budget, the amount of money that comes from that stuff is super, super small. Where's all the money? The millage rate, right? And so what happens is, this is your current millage rate. When we become a city, we would take the Cobb Fire Fund, because we're taking the police and fire, and then we would take a small sliver of the general fund with us. We get to keep it. That's all we do. And it's taxes we're already paying. It just goes with the services that we're delivering. In the state of Georgia, great law, you cannot pay for the same services twice. So a county and a city can't bill you. And so that's why, portions of these would come over here, but the forecasted millage rate is still the same at the end of the day. That's why there's no new taxes. So then you start saying, well, how?
We're not in the city of East Cobb.
We influenced it, we rigged it, yada, yada. Well, first of all,
No.
They did do an opens request this week. I got a call. Wanted to know if my cell phone needed to be redacted. I said, yes, please.
Are they really going to pass it though?
They're going to try to vote on it. They've got to step closer.
Simple math, right? And it comes over. So you go look at
Then will our school change?
I'm sorry?
No, shouldn't.
Because we pay Cobb taxes, but
Yeah, wait a minute.
Excuse me? East Cobb too. I'm
The-
sorry?
Well, what happens is, if you think about it like this, it's simple math. If you pay $10,000 today, Cobb County, right? You're gonna pay $10,000 tomorrow. Most cities have the counties collect them, and then they just send the check. The county sends the money to the city. Some cities do, but instead of it, you get like a $9,000 bill from Cobb and $1,000 from the city, but it's still $10,000. The numbers don't change. Does it make sense? It's the same math. It just gets split up. But people are like, it's a new layer of government. Well, it's not, because you're taking, the services you're taking, you take the managers with that. So you're not paying for it with the other. That's when it would be a new layer.
I'd love to add, the feasibility study, the only other thing that, there's no tax increase. The only difference in cost to the citizens would be what are called franchise fees. I don't know if you guys are familiar with franchise fees. Currently, Cobb County only charges franchise fees on cable. That's all they're legally allowed to charge. And they charge a higher franchise fee in unincorporated Cobb than they do in other municipalities in Cobb. There's 6 legacy cities, like Costello, Marietta, Smyrna, Powder Springs. Anyhow, so the franchise fee, it's safe to assume that all municipalities charge franchise fees on utilities. So that would be like your gas, your water, your electric. And we calculated for like the average home in East Cobb, it's like $4.86 per capita per year. I mean, it's pretty minimal, marginal. I mean, it's less than a visit to Chick-fil-A. So that is one, just in full transparency, that is the only additional thing that a resident would pay that they're not paying right now.
The resident could pay, the city
yes.
elected officials would determine that.
Yes, thank you.
So I know when you wrap up, we were trying to put about 25 pounds of sugar in a 3-pound bag today, but just would love to be available to you guys. We have our information available online. EastCobbGA.com is a great place to get resources. We're available to talk and come talk to neighborhoods. We've done a lot of neighborhoods. We've actually had 2 debates that are coming up with the opposition. We have been pretty frustrated. There's actually a law in the state of Georgia that prohibits the government from lobbying against referendums. And we believe that Cobb County has lobbied against this with their positions. And so we've actually notified that in writing yesterday of that. And so you'll see some of that news in the press here today, I'm sure. But, we're citizens of the community. Not one of us is a real estate developer, contrary to what you hear. I've not met the real estate sugar daddy yet that they keep saying is funding all this. I would love to meet them, but there's not one. This is local citizens that care about our area, trying to say, hey, these are the most important things to me and my kids. I got 3 kids, all schools here in East Cobb, that want to live in the same community. It's like, hey, what got us to what make us great in East Cobb? How do we protect that going forward? And we believe cityhood is the right way to do that. And that's it's simple.
I wanted to share one last observation. Scott Houseman's done a great job of the analysis and with the finances. And one of the things is that you as realtors all know the value of the properties in this community, and the total tax digest for the proposed city of East Cobb was it twice?
It was essentially twice the tax digest of any other city in East Cobb. So if there's any, and I'm passionate in some ways, and but if there's any part of the county that can afford to be a city, it's East Cobb. It's as simple as that. So anybody that tells you the feasibility study is flawed and you're going to end up with raised taxes and all that, if East Cobb has to raise taxes, Cobb County's going to have to raise taxes. It's as simple as that.
And on top of that, the other thing I'll leave you with is that unlike the city of East Cobb, the county has no cap on its taxes. Cobb County can continue to increase taxes. The city of East Cobb actually has a millage rate cap that can raise its millage rate no more than 1 mil. And anything above that, there's a really high hurdle to cross. It requires a majority of the eligible voters, that means a majority of the registered voters within the boundaries of the city, to approve it. So imagine only having a 50% voter turnout. That means 100% plus 1 would have to vote in favor of a millage rate increase. It's a really hard, so you've got a cap at 1 mil in this community based on that, unlike the county. The county has already proposed, number 1, you have Lisa Cupid, who is in credit in favor of a 30-year 1% transit tax. 5 of 6 mayors opposed that, saying, we don't want that. That's not what's right for our communities. Now with East Cobb cityhood, it won't be, you'll have another mayor at the table in those types of discussions. You'll have a mayor at the table negotiating for SPLOST dollars for projects and improvements right here within this community. Those are the reasons why that representation is so important above and beyond the tax implications. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that Commissioner Richardson has floated an idea, and three of the COP commissioners have voted to approve a study to have an impervious tax placed on residences, okay, to fund stormwater improvements. So these are the types of things that the county is moving forward with, and we just, just like to say, we want local representation here within this community to make those decisions.
What's that?
Can you address the optics that by creating this new East Cobb, you are less diverse? You're not welcoming in a variety of people into this area of Cobb County by not allowing high-density housing and additional things like that and affordable housing. That's an optic.
Yeah,
It's not a good.
very, very clearly, it's interesting, we actually went to all the Senate and congressional hearings, as the legislation was moving through, and there was a representative, Democrat representative from Sandy Springs, and we were asked that exact question by one of the members. She interrupted and answered it for us, and she's like, the map in East Cobb is the map in East Cobb, right? I mean, it's already there. I mean, the racial makeup within East Cobb. What's interesting, if you look at the polling that we've done, I mean, the polling shows that it is favored across racial and across Democrat and Republican, just as it's against in those same categories. But on the racial side, it is much stronger than the normal, than the regular polling for doing this, which is interesting. I think the question is not what do you do, but if you look at the map in East Cobb, so historically, and this is a way long answer, I know we need to shut up, but basically you build an apartment, traditionally 83 to 85% of them are singles or like newlyweds without children, right? And that leaves kind of 12 to 18% that fall into the family category. When you build an apartment in East Cobb, our stats are reversed on that. It's like 80-something% are all families. So even if you increase density, you're not going to solve that problem. Because the families want to be here for the schools. And it is an optics question, but the schools are full, the roads are full, and what's the right balancing act is what we think local folks should make the decision of, not people that live outside.
And that may only be a focus group of one, but I used to have clients coming from Smyrna to want to go to East Cobb for the schools. Now they're going to Roswell, Woodstock, and Upper Kennesaw. So they're not wanting to come to East Cobb because they sense we don't have the downtown area for gatherings, we don't have the walkability, and we don't have the diversity here. That's the perception.
I don't disagree with you, and I think that's one of the things I would love about cityhood is to have a seat at the table with developers. Like for example, Peachtree Corners, they had their local council sit at the table with the developers and create this retail area to be more of a city center where they had an amphitheater and they had community events, and this is where people are drawn to. And so seeing what the people who came before us did, I'm like, I want that. I want to have a seat at the table so that we can create this sense of, this area that
addresses the sense of community that's been built. Johns Creek, Milton, all those folks had developers put those type things in when they developed. From an increased density standpoint, it's a balancing act. When you have no green space left to build on, something's coming down to put it back up.
Craig hit on this, and the thing is that we can, I'll mention this, is that, my son was back from college during spring break, and I said, hey, you and your friends ought to go up here to Woodstock and check out what's going on in Woodstock. Really, really exciting. They've got lots of activities, city center, and all that kind of stuff. They would much rather travel outside of this area because there's really not a heck of a lot going on. Now, having said that, Craig, Sarah, myself, Scott, we cannot commit the city to anything. We can't bind the city in any way. People are asking us, well, what's the budget? The budget is not something that we can determine. The feasibility study simply says one thing. Based on comparable cities and their revenues and their expenses, the city of East Cobb is viable. Okay, and not only is it viable, it's going to operate with a surplus. But when it comes to budgets and planning and commitments and zoning and all of that stuff, nothing Craig says, Sarah, myself, or Scott says has any merit, weight, or bearing whatsoever. It will be dependent upon those people that are elected as council members and the mayor. They're the only ones that can make those decisions, including all the housing decisions that you just described and asked about.
So we'll be available to stay after. Love to follow back up. We'll come do neighborhood things, meet you for lunch if you want to unpack some more. I just want to be sensitive because I know we've blown past time by about 20 minutes. So a lot of information.
No, thank you very much. And, I just want to ask the question, I heard on the news last week that for the first time in 20 years, I guess it was, maybe more, that Cobb County has gone into double-digit tax increase. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The tax digest increased by more than 10%. And it's the first time that it's done so in, like you said, more than 20 years. That actually has bearing on a couple of things. Number one, Stephen White, who's the Cobb tax assessor, already said, he goes, we need to come back and reassess the values on properties. Number one, because the assessed values are not keeping pace with the sales activity that all of you are generating. Okay, so, but importantly, the feasibility study is based on 2020 numbers, not 2021, and certainly not the numbers that are going to be increasing because of Stephen White's, the Cobb tax assessor's comments. So we're going to see significantly more revenue for the city of East Cobb and the county overall, more so than is already stated within that feasibility study.
Did you answer your question? Okay.
It did. All right.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank
you.
you.
for your
Thank
time.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, that'd be great. Okay, we're gonna finish up and let you all get your day going. Let's
Thank you.
just,
Thank you for having us.
thank you very much.
Thank you all.
R3?
Oh, yeah, so there's some people who wing it, right? There's some people who wing it when they're having conversations with their buyers and sellers. And then there's some people who show up on a Monday and a Wednesday and they work on their scripts and their dialogues and have real estate conversations. So.
All right. Not to short you anything because.
We already did this yesterday, okay?
So
What
we can
else?
keep going. Maximize your CRM.
Whichever one you use, we're gonna talk about command and how to get familiar and friendly with it and actually use it. So I encourage you guys to jump on with Carrie Walters. She can do this in her sleep. She is the system. Yes, it's tomorrow, the 13th, from 11 to 12, and it's gonna be on Zoom and downstairs in Legion Room.
Great. All right. Then another great event, Market Your Clients event.
And the movie is a client event, right? So I may or may not be here. My husband has a procedure that day. So we'll get Kevin and Carrie to teach that. Y'all hear about that now. So please come to this one. You have enough time to market the movies.
Great.
Because you should get about 6 to 8 touches out of every one event.
Great. And we've got a CE class, Mastering Appraisals. I highly recommend that you attend this class.
Yes.
You know, coming from the lending side, I got comfortable with appraisals, reviewed appraisals. I'm always a little concerned when we're doing comps and I'm like, what does this, why are we using this? So this is a good way to understand from the appraiser's aspect on what's going to take place. It's Amerispec is putting it on.
No, it is DS. I think it's DS Murphy.
Yeah, DS Murphy.
It's right. Mark Durden is with DS Murphy, so we will get that changed.
Okay, that's
yes.
wrong.
Michelle.
Yes.
Michelle, this is Karen Sharpless. For those of us in TV land, when those things come up, can you read them out? Because we can't see those very well.
Okay.
Can you read the date and the time?
I sure will. Thank you for pointing that out. Mastering Appraisal CE class led by Mark Durden of DS Murphy.
And he's fantastic.
April 28th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon.
Up here in the training room.
And there
Thank
is a
you.
link up there, but we'll send that out. So look for your email.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Yeah.
Guys, I really feel like if you're a realtor and that right there could be one of the most helpful things for you, because in the not so often occurrence where an appraisal comes in short, almost always the lender gets the phone call. And when we're trying to go over the appraisal with you, if you know how to read the appraisal, it makes it so much easier. And also too, sometimes you may answer your own questions when you go through the appraisal and you'll see, okay, I see how he adjusted that comp. Okay, I see why he used that comp. So I would strongly encourage somebody to come to that.
Yeah.
Can I also say one more thing?
Yes.
Okay, that is a conflict for anybody that's attending Bold.
Okay, well, oh, you're right. Maybe we can
We'll record it.
record it.
We'll record
You
it.
won't get the CE credit, but you can watch that and get the information.
Yes.
Would that be okay?
Actually, hold on. Actually, that 28th, we're not in Bold that day. We're in Bold the 25th.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're skipping that Thursday because there was something going on. So April 28th is
Oh,
free.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can credit that to R3. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you for bringing
What
that
time was
up.
that appraisal?
9 to 12.
9 to
Yes.
12, because it's a
Chrissy.
3-hour CE class.
If he isn't already, can we ask him to include, like, I just saw an appraisal thing that was written by an Ansley agent that was amazing, and she said, I went to a class, and they said, here's what's helpful to us when the agents want to share information when we're coming in for an appraisal, that we appreciate. So if he's not already doing that, or maybe we can have a class about that later.
Okay, why don't you give us more specifics so that we can ask them, we could do a masterminds and have them come in, and address that specifically. Thank you, Christy. That's a great idea. All right, on bourbon and charcuterie. What?
Now we're talking.
I'm ready.
Okay, let me tell you what this was. This was a conversation with Jim and Jeff Hart, myself, Peggy Desiderio. I know Reed is jumping in on this too. So it was great minds go, what can we do that's fun for our agents? That's definitely fun. But yet Anya is going to Poland on April 26th to help families that are coming across from Ukraine, and she's helping them relocate and get situated. So we're going to do this and ask for $20 per person minimum contribution to attend. You can give as much as your heart wants to give, and we're going to then send it to her while she is in Poland, so she physically can do something that makes a difference. So each one of us that watch the news and go, I wish I could do something, here is your opportunity. I am so excited. There are several of us, and anybody can jump in, that are going to donate bourbons, and we're going to do flights of bourbons.
I heard you were providing a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle.
That's what
I can't even get Pappy Van Winkle, but no, that could be untrue.
Reed said he would match it too.
Oh, Reed, okay.
Right, Reed?
I'll draw a picture of it.
For those bourbon lovers, here is a way to share what you love. Please bring your bottle. We're going to pour flights. We're also going to have a charcuterie board contest. I'm bringing a charcuterie board. Anybody can bring it so that we can, again, just do something. Anya was beyond almost to tears when I told her what we as Quan wanted to do, because it's all of us that are going to make a difference. So, Kimberly set up a way to raise money.
I like your face, Kimberly.
Oh, I know, kind of like my Jeopardy. I was like, wow, what are we talking about? But Kimberly, we've gotten already donations of how much?
Last time I checked, 1,000.
So we haven't even done this, and we've already got $1,000 for her to go to Poland. So thank you all. But please put on your calendar April 26th. We're going to do it from 4 to 6, because that way it does not cut into family time. And it is not like the bar. It's just to try different flights. We're not going to send you home all loopy.
It's what you make it.
It's what you make it. Okay. All right. So anyway, we'll talk about it again, but we're very excited, and I hope you'll join in with us. Red Day.
Okay, I can go over it really quick. It's May 12th, and we are doing Must Ministries. We're asking for 2 shifts of volunteers at the donation center. And we're also gonna collect donations here until the 12th. So there's a list on the flyer of all the things that they're asking for and that they need. So we're gonna do a shift from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at their donation site, Marietta. And then we're gonna do lunch, sponsored by Supreme, by the truck, 12 to 1 p.m. at the office. We couldn't do it there on site, there wasn't room. And then an afternoon shift from 1:30 to 3:30, followed by a happy hour at Hard Cider, Atlanta Hard Cider. And that'll be at 4 p.m. And anyone can come to that, but it's kind of for the later shift also.
It's just 4 miles, right down 120,
It's
so
really
come on out,
close.
even if you did the morning
Yeah.
shift, come out for happy hour, sponsored by Public.
And then for participants, we're gonna do a drawing for some prizes also, so. So
Great.
show up and come.
All
Yeah,
right,
it'll be fun.
please do not work that day, please
May
give, we're going to shut the office.
As you're grocery shopping over the next couple weeks, throw in some more non-perishable stuff. You're at Costco, throw in some nice extra cans of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff we'll be collecting, but they need food so bad. For 20-something years, they never had to buy food. They had enough donations to support people, but with the last 2 years, they've actually had to go to buy food from the Atlanta Food Bank to help support all the food pantries out here in Cobb. So they really, really, really need food.
Thank you for what you do, organizing us, and thank you all in advance for helping our community. Very, very impactful. We're not gonna talk about this very long. I'm doing another Zoom Career Day next Thursday, the 21st. If you have individuals that you would like me to reach out to, send me their name, their telephone number, and their email address, and I will invite them to Virtual Career Day. We've had, last month, we had about 50 attend, and the most successful group, you know, I keep up where we get our leads from for our new talent, and it's you all. When you all are part of it, they seem to have already engaged, so it's a great way to build your downline, let us find new talent, and do the work for you, okay? All right. I tell you what, we're gonna skip lessons learned today. Don't be disappointed. I know. Reed was so gracious. If you're here next week, would you do lessons learned? I just wanna be.
Give us a teaser on what's
it's
the
gonna
topic,
be.
but you don't have to go in.
It's going to be the most common problems or opportunities that Reed sees when agents are doing with involving financing. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it'll be things that are happening every single day that they're saying, well, we can make you better agents, all right? And
Got me.
I think that's it, right? That's it. Thank
That
you
works.
all.
Thank you.
Tim will be back next week, so yay for me. Anyway, thank you all for being here.